Hi, I'm R.A. Graves. I want to share with you what I read in my Bible this morning. I got my journal here that I take notes in to help me along the way. So this morning, the passage I read comes from Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And here's what happened. Jesus just came across the Sea of Galilee. He had just cast a bunch of demons, a legion of demons, out of two different men into a herd of pigs that then ran off the cliff and died. And for his good works, he got told to get out of town. We don't want you here. So he sails back across, and that's where today's story starts. And when he gets to the shore, he finds that the crowds of people have been waiting for him. They heard he was coming. They came down, and they're there to welcome him and, share their problems and get some miracles for themselves, really. And among these crowds, you have a very important man named Jairus. Jairus is a leader of a local synagogue, so everybody, or at least a lot of people here, knows who this man is, and he's an important person. You also have a woman who not many people probably do know, and if they do, they're probably not proud to know her. They probably don't give her the time of day very often. She is a woman with a disease that all we know about her is it's a disease that has to do with bleeding. So speculate all you want what that could be. And as Jesus is in this crowd, Jairus makes himself known. This probably isn't hard for Jairus because, as I said, he's an important person. He speaks up. Everybody says Jairus is speaking. Let him speak. And he has a big problem. It's honestly, it's a life or death issue. And he needs the help of Jesus because he says, Jesus, my daughter is sick. Come quickly or she'll die. Because she's that sick. She's like on death's door. And Jesus agrees. So let's go. So as they're going, this crowd is so massive and thick that it's like the people in front of you are engulfing you and the people in back are just pushing you along. And Jesus just halts the whole thing. Stop. Everybody, stop. Who touched me? And this is a funny thing. And the disciples, they think it's kind of funny, or they're perturbed because they're like, what are you talking about? You're in a crowd of people. The answer is everybody has touched you. What are you talking about? He goes, no, not touched me. I felt power drained from me. That's different. And they're like, okay. So having this come out, a woman, as the same woman I mentioned before, decides like her gig is up. She's got to come clean because it was her. She snuck up in through this crowd because she was thinking, if only I can touch the garment of Christ, maybe I can be healed. She's desperate. She's been to doctors for many, many years, and she's not getting better. In fact, she's getting worse. She sees her disease, if we can call it that, progressing. And call it faith or call it being desperate, this woman needs help, and she comes to Jesus and she touches the hem of his garment, and he notices this. And he stops everything, calls her out, and she confesses, she admits, she tells what's going on, and Jesus says to her, your faith has healed you. It was this morning I read it. I can't remember the exact words. Did she say, I think he said, saved you. Your faith has saved you. So it might be deeper than just being healed. He might have actually granted this woman salvation. And during this time, while the whole crowd is halted, you got Jairus up there like tapping on his watch, what are we doing? This woman is like, she's nobody, quite frankly. She's been dealing with this issue, for years? She can wait another day. I cannot. My daughter is on death's door. Come on, let's go. And before they can get going again, down comes Jairus' servants coming from his home, and they have awful news. She's passed away. It's too late. Don't even bother coming. Don't bother Jesus. It's too late. I'm so sorry. But Jesus says, no. Don't be afraid. Only believe. Okay? So he continues going the rest of the way with Jairus all the way to Jairus' house. Now, when they get to the house, Jesus decides that, obviously not everybody can go inside. So he chooses 3 of his disciples, and I'm going to look at my notes to see, because it's Peter, John, and James, okay? So he picks Peter, John, and James to come into the house with him. Oh, also Jairus and his mother, obviously. Not his mother, but the girl's mother. And they go into the house, and inside the house, you got like what I can only describe as like the funeral. That you got people in there who are preparing the young girl to be buried or whatever they do. I'm not in depth on culture from that time, but one of my understandings is that you would actually hire people to come to funerals and mourn. I don't know if that was going on in this case, or if it was just family members or people from nearby who came because they knew the girl or something like that. But there are people there who are mourning, who are sad, and Jesus comes in and says to them, like, why are you crying? She's not dead, she's sleeping. And they can't believe this. This must have been insulting, honestly. I don't know what I would do if, like, my daughter or someone I know was dead and someone came in and said that. It's like, have some respect, But I'm sure Jesus had quite a reputation. So they must have been speechless over this, but he told them to get out of the house, and they did. They all obeyed. Jairus probably backed him up on this, like, yeah, guys, get out, okay? Jesus wants you out. Let's see what happens. So once everybody was out of the house, just I keep forgetting which disciples. Peter, John, and James, Jesus, Jairus, and Jairus' wife go into the room where the young girl is dead. I almost said sleeping. Only to Jesus, where she is laying in her bed, completely and keep in mind, like, it's been a little while. It had to have been, right? They were stopped. They were dealing with this woman. There would have been, from the time she died, the people from the house, they would have had to have time to come down to the crowds and tell Jairus what had happened. And then time for them all to walk back to the house. Who knows how far this house was? Maybe it was in the same town. Maybe it wasn't that far, but let's just say several minutes. But who knows? It could have been longer. And then the time it takes to get there and then kick everybody out of the house. So it's been a little time. She's been dead for a little while. And then Jesus says, I didn't write in my notes, but it was a phrase that is said that what it means is little girl. He addressed her as little girl, like, wake up, little girl, or get up, little girl, or something like that. And she did immediately. She became alive, sat up, and was like walking around, like fully energized, not like groggy, like you just woke up from a long sleep or anything like that, but like as if she woke up regenerated from like a nap, like a power nap or something. And then the story ends in the funniest way. Jesus says, don't tell anyone about this, okay? When I read that, I had to laugh because, like, you just kicked you just kicked all these people out of the house. Everybody already knows the girl was dead. This is out there already. You're not going to keep this contained. They're going to see this girl in the synagogue, and they're going to go like, hey, so, what happened? What's going on? And I just thought that was so strange. But that's the story, and I wrote down a few notes, a few questions along the way, just some curiosities that I've noticed when reading this, and that's what I want to share with you. That's the story. Here's what I want to think about in my notes. Okay? So, first thing I noted was the crowds. Everywhere Jesus goes, there's like crowds. It seems like this man can only rest on a boat crossing the sea. And soon as he comes to shore, there are people who need him, want him to do things for them, and it must just be like overwhelmingly tiresome. And I took note of that. I know there are multiple instances in the Bible where it says Jesus just goes and he escapes to be alone, usually really early in the morning, and he goes for prayer. And that's probably another time he gets to rest and kind of rejuvenate himself. But other than that, just like this is something I don't really often think about. Even reading the Bible, like these to me are all just like scattered stories, but when you think about it, it was like constant. These are just stories that happened back to back. He just came from a town that kicked him out for what he did over there. And as soon as he hits land on the other side of the lake, I call it a lake. It's a sea, I guess. It's a small sea, but the Sea of Galilee. As soon as he hits land on the other side, here's more people. It's endless. Okay, so the second thing I wanted to note was that I found very interesting was when Jesus said, I felt power come out of me. This baffles me. I never considered any kind of mechanical method for miracles being done. Like, it never occurred to me to wonder, like, when Jesus touches a man and heals him, does his hands feel warm? Do they tingle, Like, I never even considered thinking about that. But here he's saying he felt some kind of energy leave his body. And that was what made him realize that he had been, that a healing had taken place, that something had happened. I just found that to be very interesting. Was this the way it was every time when he made a blind man see? If he touched his eyes, was there warmth? What happened? Like, I never considered this. Have you? What's your take on that? Because I just always thought it was like, I don't know what I thought. Maybe I just never thought it through very good. But I found that to be super interesting. Almost seems a little bit like it would be in like a fiction story, or like you, I don't know. I don't want to get off on a tangent, but I found that to be super interesting. A third note I took down was when the girl actually died. Because at first, Jesus was just going to Jairus' house to heal a sick girl. And now he's going to his house to raise a dead girl. Is that the stakes have raised? Or maybe not the stakes per se, but the severity of the story. That's interesting. What kind of story element would that be? It's like a prepaid stakes. As an author, I find this aspect of the story to be super interesting because you're ramping things up. You're like, uh-oh, the girl's gonna die. Like, you have to get there quick. And then it's almost like a twist, like, she is dead. Now what? Like, what happens after this? There's only two things that can happen. Either she gets raised from the dead, or it's too late and it's a very sad story. So let's go on with this story and see what happens, right? I couldn't help but notice in this story that the disciples that Jesus brought into the house Peter, John, and James. How come I'm reading this account from Matthew, Mark, and Luke? I thought that was very interesting. If anyone would tell this story, I would think it'd be the disciples that went into the house with Jesus, but I guess not. Maybe they took to heart when Jesus said, "Don't tell anyone about this." Maybe they're like, maybe he's talking about us too. But apparently they told the other disciples. And of course, Luke was more of a, his account is more of an investigative account. So he probably came along after the fact and talked to everybody involved, and got his story that way. But I thought that was interesting. All right, so I have a question for you. Who do you think you can relate to best in this story? Is it the woman, or is it Jairus? Now, I'll give you my answer, but I want to hear yours too. Off the cuff, I say the woman, okay? I think I have more of a personality that would fit with her. I would go to a doctor if I was sick. And then what I would do is I would set up an appointment with the doctor, and then I would pray about that appointment. You know, I pray the doctor knows what they're doing, and I pray that it doesn't cost too much. That's what I would pray. And if that doctor couldn't help me, I'd go to another doctor. If they couldn't help me, eventually I'd get desperate, and I'd probably be asking God to heal me and wondering why I didn't think about that in the first place. That's just kind of like, I think I have that kind of, I call it little faith, I guess. I shouldn't, being completely honest, let's call it little faith. I would probably even be a little bit sneaky about it like she was. I wouldn't want to make myself known in front of a crowd that I was having this shameful problem that made people think I was unclean. I wouldn't want to stand up and announce that to ask Jesus for help, especially if I've been dealing with it for years already. And I know, like, you know what? I'll just suffer with it for another 20, 30 years, whatever. You know, I would do it in a secretive way too. I would sneak up, see if maybe I can just like get a private hearing with them, and seeing that that's impossible because the crowds, you know, just get in there and try to touch his garment. Except for me, I'd get his ankle or something. I'd be like, no, or something like that. You know, get in there and secretly just see if you can get some kind of miracle. And that's just how I feel off the bat. But also, as I think about it, I'm like, wait a minute, I can also relate with Jairus, because sure, if I had the woman's problem, I'd probably behave like her. But if I had Jairus's problem, I wouldn't be secretive. I would be desperate. I would be making myself known in that crowd. I'd be the loudest person in that crowd. I would be barreling through like a tank to get to Jesus so that he can pay attention to my very, what's the word? Very intimate, is that the right word? My very pressing issue. In my notes, I wrote down that I was going to tell you to have hope, because in this big crowd of people, Jesus noticed this woman and stopped and had time to help her. But then I was like, you know, as cute as that is, as it's nice, it gives you the warm and fuzzies, you know, it's all metaphorical, because think about, and that was her situation, but our situation, there is no crowd. We don't have a crowd. You know, when Jesus was here walking the earth, he was bound in flesh. If he stopped to help this woman, he had to stop helping Jairus. And in that time, his daughter died. And not to offend anyone, but it's not offensive, because Jesus said it himself. He told the disciples, it is good that I go away, because I will send you a helper. And the helper is the Holy Spirit. And we don't fight crowds. We can go to God freely, and that's what I want to tell you. We don't have to speak up. We don't have to make ourselves known in like a big crowd of people and be the loudest person to get God's attention. We don't need to. We don't have to be in despair, thinking that there's no possible way Jesus is gonna pay attention to me. There's too many people. I'm not important enough. None of that exists. You can go to God, and I have a bad ankle, kind of like chronic bad ankle, and sometimes I pray for it to be healed, and it hasn't happened yet. I'll keep you posted. But like when I pray for my ankle, I'm not like stealing attention from God that like he would otherwise be helping like a child at St. Jude's, with leukemia or something like that. There isn't that aspect going on with us, and I think that is awesome. That is amazing. Like God or Jesus did amazing things on this earth. And in one afternoon, he healed this woman that no one could help for probably decades, and then walked up the street and raised a little girl from the dead. And we still have this man, Jesus, except we don't have to fight through a crowd to get him anymore. We can go straight in prayer to him. That's my message today. Amazing. It's so awesome. There was another point I wanted to make. I forget what it is now, so I'm just going to let it go. And I got to go back to work anyway. So I hope this video was a blessing to you. I hope you liked it. I hope you tune in next time. Until next time, remember Christ, the author of salvation and the reader of your heart.